This is Mac OS Ken.
Tony Sacconaghi may be unretired. 25% of the world's smartphones are iPhones. An Apple Watch wants to jumpstart your heart. Is that a pop song? I think that was a pop song. It is Wednesday, the 11th of February, 2026. I'm Ken Tell It to My Heart. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for growing your presence online. Get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with offer code MacOSKen at squarespace.com/MacOSKen. This show is also sponsored by NordLayer, working to secure your network and block threats to your business. Where does that start? With NordLayer and $8. NordLayer combines VPN, access control, and threat protection in one easy-to-use platform, starting at just $8 per user per month. That's a pretty low price for security that is not low rent. They partnered with CrowdStrike to bring Falcon endpoint protection to small and mid-sized businesses. That is your business getting enterprise-grade security that's simple to deploy and manage, starting at just $8 per user per month. If you're working with a big team, they have special rates for orgs with 100 seats or more, and if you're listening to this, and I suspect you are, they've got an exclusive offer for you. Get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus 10% on top with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. Whatever the size of your business, NordLayer is ready to meet your security needs. Get up to 22% off their yearly plans plus 10% on top with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. NordLayer. Toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. Okay, is Tony Sacconaghi retired or what? It was a little over a year ago that Bernstein research analyst Tony Sacconaghi announced his retirement. Kind of a big deal. I remember Apple co-founder and then CEO Steve Jobs tearing Sacconaghi a new one on an earnings call back when Jobs was still around, and Sacconaghi was not new to the Apple beat then. A piece from Investing.com in January of 2025 said Sacconaghi's future plans included spending more time with family and traveling, after he retired, which he was totally going to do. Maybe the Sacconaghi family isn't everything he thought it would be. Yesterday, the site Stock Strategy Advisor had Bernstein analyst Tony Sacconaghi raising the firm's price target on Apple shares. He's said to have been turned on by improving visibility into Apple's services growth, which continues to deliver higher margins and more predictable cash flows relative to hardware, Apple's large and loyal installed base, which underpins monetization opportunities and long-term revenue durability, and Apple's capital return framework, which, funny enough, is what Steve Jobs tore the analyst a new one over years ago, years before Apple started returning money to shareholders. While hardware demand trends remain mixed in certain regions, Stock Strategy Advisor says Bernstein believes product refresh cycles and incremental AI-driven features could help stabilize iPhone performance over time. It is a rather generic note. Positive, though positively generic. Bernstein has an outperform rating on Apple shares. Whoever is currently following Apple for Bernstein raised the firm's price target on the shares from $325 to $340. I have reached out to the investment firm to find out what gives. If I hear anything, and I totally do not expect to, but if I do, I'll let you know. Nearly a quarter of the world's active smartphones are iPhones. That is the word for market tracker Counterpoint Research. In a post picked up Tuesday, the firm said the global installed base of active smartphones grew 2% last year. The Counterpoint smartphone installed base tracker indicates that the growth was driven by replacement cycles for new devices increasing to nearly 4 years and a growing share of second life devices in use. I want to get all trippy for just one moment. That 2% is everything from people being able to afford their first smartphone, to kids across the planet finally being old enough for one as far as their folks are concerned. We tend to think of sales numbers as financially secure populations being able to buy whatever they want to. There are life stories in that data. Stories of lives changing. Yeah, I know, show me the money. Fine. Counterpoint says all 8 leading smartphone OEMs had an active installed base exceeding 200 million devices in 2025. Sounds impressive, but here's the thing. We know from Apple's last earnings call that the Cupertino company has an active installed base of more than 2.5 billion active devices. Yes, that's across smartphones and computers and tablets and other hardware. You gotta figure, though, that the iPhone portion, a little bit higher than 200 million. Same goes for Samsung, by the way. While close to 1 in 4 active smartphones is an iPhone, according to Counterpoint, nearly 1 in 5 is a Samsung. It's cool, I guess, that 8 OEMs have over 200 million active devices. The gap between first place Apple and places 3rd through 8, though, that's not small. In fact, Counterpoint says Apple and Samsung are the only 2 that have crossed 1 billion active smartphones. Still kind of iPhone's world, though. The Counterpoint release had one senior analyst saying Apple's active installed base lead is driven by strong user loyalty, a deep iOS ecosystem, and tightly integrated services. In 2025, Apple added more net new smartphone devices than the next 7 leading OEMs combined. This highlights its ability to attract and retain users in a mature market. Together, the analyst continued, Apple and Samsung held 44% of the global active installed base in 2025. This advantage comes from longer replacement cycles as consumers keep devices longer due to incremental hardware innovations. Their premium smartphones benefit from durable builds, extended software support, strong resale values, deeply integrated ecosystems, and powerful global brand loyalty. These factors extend active device lifespans, encourage multi-owner usage, and further widen their lead in user retention. Given the success enjoyed by Apple and Samsung, Counterpoint says other smartphone makers should copy them. They may want to consider doing the premium phone thing. The firm says makers below Apple and Samsung on the list can grow their share by bringing to market durable, feature-rich devices with advanced displays, larger batteries, and high-end cameras. People tend to hold onto those phones longer and buy those phones again when it's finally time to replace them. That said, Counterpoint counters its own argument, saying the differentiation is shifting to software and ecosystem layers in this AI era. According to the firm, on-device AI, camera intelligence, productivity features, and seamless cross-device integration are becoming key value drivers. Those also increase device and platform loyalty, which almost makes Apple sound unassailable. I don't know that they actually are, because I don't know that anything is. But the number of things that would have to go wrong for Apple and go right for whatever competitor at pretty much the exact same time, yeah, it feels like we'd be talking about act of God stuff at that point. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for growing your presence online. Building a site with Squarespace is easy. It starts by Squarespace asking about your plans. What is your site about? What do you want it to do? Then you build it, either with their library of award-winning templates or use Blueprint AI, the AI-enhanced Squarespace builder. Using basic information about what you do, what you're trying to do, and the mood you're trying to set, you can have a site built in no time. Of course, getting people to your site is the trick, one with which Squarespace can help. All of the sites built with Squarespace are built to be noticed, with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more. If users are looking for something like you, Squarespace will help them find you. That's just some of the tools they have to offer. Check them all out for yourself at squarespace.com/MacOSKen and start your free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, use offer code MacOSKen to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. You can do so much with Squarespace. Start with a free trial at squarespace.com/MacOSKen. Then use offer code MacOSKen for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for growing your presence online. Get started today at squarespace.com/MacOSKen. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, or CMA, is apparently going easy on Google and Apple. A piece from Engadget says the CMA last year deemed the two companies a duopoly in the realm of mobile platforms, and so they'd better be careful. The piece says the CMA will not regulate Google and Apple's app stores the way the EU has done. Instead, UK regulators have accepted assurances from both companies that they will operate their stores fairly. Of course, they are free to change their minds. For example, said the CMA, if we find Apple is routinely declining interoperability requests without good reason, we could bring forward specific interoperability requirements. Non-compliance would also mean we would be unlikely to consider commitments as a similar approach in the future. Personally, never agreed with the findings under the EU's Digital Markets Act nor the UK's Competition and Markets Authority. While it would be neat to think that the CMA saw what, in my opinion, is the error of its ways, Engadget thinks it could be reacting in fear. The site says the UK is possibly taking a light touch on App Store rules to avoid antagonizing the Trump administration. Electric vehicle maker Rivian is planning a dedicated app for Apple Watch. I know, right? What's the last company besides Apple to make a dedicated app for Apple Watch? And yet, a piece from Mac Rumors says the SoCal car maker is prepping an app for Apple's chronometer, built as part of the Autoline's 2026.03 software update. Mac Rumors says release notes say the update will let owners remotely access and control their vehicles from the Apple Watch, including locking and unlocking doors, venting windows, and sounding the alarm. Users can use the digital crown to set a target state of charge or adjust the cabin temperature. The app's customizable design allows users to choose up to 4 quick controls for instant access to their most used features. Sort of sounds like overkill for a watch. It might really be aimed at backwards compatibility, though. The piece says Rivian started supporting digital car keys and Apple Wallet late last year. Thing is, that support only works on models from 2025 or later. The Apple Watch app will work with first-generation Rivian models. That means cars from 2021 through 2024 will basically get the digital key function through Apple Watch. And finally today, Saturday is Valentine's Day, and Apple Watch has an activity for sweethearts, lonely hearts, hearts of all sorts. 9 to 5 Mac says the device's annual Heart Month Challenge is on again this Saturday, the 14th of February. Completion gives completionists a virtual medallion, digital stickers, and, who knows, maybe better health. Sometime between now and Saturday, your watch should pop the message, "Close your exercise ring on Valentine's Day, February 14th to earn this award. Your heart will love you for it." Here's what you could do. Walk to the local drugstore, buy that heart-shaped box of candy you forgot to get, close your exercise ring, and more importantly, save your backside. macOS Can, brought to you by me, and sponsored by NordLayer. Toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSCan-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macoscan. This show is also sponsored by Squarespace. Get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with offer code macOSCan at squarespace.com/macoscan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSCan at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macoscan.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.